Hi, I'm Jaysen.
And I'm Jaysen.
And this is WhatchaSayJ. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing some news stories that we've been able to do some
Not
research.
bad news.
Not bad news. I mean, everywhere you look today, I mean, whether it's the internet or whether it's the local news or the national news, everything is just bad news all the time. I mean, I've talked to many people, friends, that just want a source for better news that makes you smile or that lifts your heart a little bit.
I agree. I very rarely watch the news because it's hardly ever anything I want to see.
I thought it was because of your intellect.
Huh?
Okay, that was uncalled for. Either way, the reason I thought this would be a good thing to bring up is just because we could do this on a somewhat periodical basis and bring up a couple of news stories that, like I said, were good. And so we've done some research. Again, I apologize for suggesting your intellect wasn't up to a par. That's all me.
Sounds sincere.
So, Jaysen, would you like to lead off and give us a story?
I would love to lead off. Now, I will tell you, I'm not going to say either of these stories are anything that you may not have heard. You may very well have heard them, but I'm going to let you know what I liked anyways. It's pretty easy to find good news if you search for it, I found. Literally as easy as going to Google and searching good news. And there's a couple of sources that bring up some neat stories, and they're good to read. And I actually had a little trouble deciding, but I did narrow it down. So here's the first one I decided on. If we have time, I'll share two. And actually, in all honesty, my grandmother turned me on to this one. So, in Colorado Springs, a 4-year-old boy is crazy about trucks. The boy's name is Carson. And the trucks that he's crazy about are UPS trucks.
Who isn't?
I love UPS trucks.
They bring our stuff.
They bring our toys. So anyways, Carson had a special relationship, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into the story here and just read it because I won't do it justice if I do it all on my own. So, Carson had a bit of a dietary issue as a young child, so the UPS driver brought his food. So he came twice a week, every week, and Carson developed a pretty good interest in the UPS driver. So I'll pick it up at one paragraph here. Those frequent visits inspired a strong bond of friendship between Carson and the UPS driver, Ernie Legaska. It got to the point where he'd hear the truck coming and wait at the curb and shout, "Mr. Ernie," as Carson calls him. Each time the truck arrived, the boy expressed the same wild excitement. So the story is good to read. It's a great one to watch. There's actually a video on YouTube. I'm going to jump down a little further here. One visit, and Carson was, I think, he was 4 still, I'm sorry. They brought Mr. Ernie back, who had been on had retired.
Wow.
So Mr. Ernie came back, and Carson gets the surprise of his life, and he sees Mr. Ernie dropping off gifts, or boxes at the house. Well, he had another little treat for Carson today. They pulled up to the back of the truck, opened it up, and Mr. Ernie pulls out a Power Wheels UPS truck to go with the UPS costume that Carson already wore. And this was actually part of a Make-A-Wish thing, from what I was reading. But this guy went through a lot to make this little boy's day. He traveled around the neighborhood delivering cookies in his little UPS truck to his neighbors. He had the people sign his little scanner. It was a heartwarming story.
Yeah, I appreciate that story, and
I appreciate you.
well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, that's a great example of news that should be covered more often. It's pretty special. I have a story. It's kind of from a different angle, but it's no less good. I was reading this a couple of days ago. This actually happened on March 20th in Pennsylvania. A 2-year-old had fallen through the ice into a fast-flowing stream, and that's never a good situation to start. I mean, we both have young children, and that'd be a terrible position to be in as a parent. But they didn't find the child until a half an hour later, and at that point the child was face down in the water, which was 34 degrees, and so I mean that's a pretty hopeless scenario, and just in the way you typically would think. But they were able able to get him into the ambulance and perform CPR on him all the way to the hospital. Still nothing. And once they got him into the hospital, they were able to bring his. They didn't give up, which I think was amazing. But they were able to get his body temperature slowly back up towards normal. And as he started to warm up, he started to show more and more signs of life. And he actually was without a pulse for over an hour and a half.
Wow.
So that if that's not a miracle, I don't know what is. I mean,
I'm guessing by the way you're going with this, they brought him back after that whole hour.
Yes, I mean they were able to, after he had no pulse for an hour and 40 minutes.
Hour and 40 minutes.
They were able to get signs of life, and they were able to bring him back to health at that point. And he shows all signs of recovering fully and having no ill effects from this situation. So I mean, it's a two-pronged thing. I mean, number one, it's a miracle, and we all know who's responsible for that miracle. But on the other side, it's just kind of neat to know the levels of CPR and techniques that they have that they can use when somebody is technically dead.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I mean, I was my heart was warmed by that story. That when just so much bad news that goes around, I mean, that's one thing you can read and actually get a little bit of positive feeling out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this isn't our usual thing. We're not being our silly selves, but we just thought it'd be kind of fun. I got one quick one we'll share real quick. We got a few minutes to fill. Pretty much just read this one off. A California Goodwill worker found an envelope in a book in the donation bins, and the envelope was filled with $10,500, all in $100 bills.
I'm going to the local donation
Right?
place right now.
Right? Well, the lady's name, give me just a second, Lakeisha Williams, said she briefly thought about pocketing the cash, but she knew she had to do the right thing. Her concern was that the money was something that somebody didn't realize was in the book, and it was something they're going to need back. So she rightfully handed it in to her supervisor. It's going to spend the proper amount of time in a bank account. If anybody claims it that belongs to it, I'm assuming there's some sort of way they suss out whether it was true or not. So
They'll probably put an ad in Craigslist. Well, the
person that lost
Yeah.
$10,500, please contact
Please
us.
step forward. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty neat. And then down at the end of the story, it does say that she will be rewarded for her honesty. In a situation like that, Goodwill usually gives about 10% of the findings to the employee. So she'll have about $1,000 in her pocket, and she was honest. She's got a good, clean conscience.
Yeah. And that's $1,000 that she can feel good about having in her pocket, as opposed to maybe looking over her shoulder from pocketing the whole amount. So
No ill-gotten gains.
yeah, I mean, even though it's less money, pieces you can't put a price on peace for sure.
Absolutely not. Well, all right. I think that wraps it up today.
Yeah, and if we'll put links to these stories in the description of the video, and if you have any that you'd like to share with our other fans, certainly feel free to comment and post those as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and leave any comments you have, future show ideas, and as Jaysen said, any good news stories that you want to share.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.